Had you thought that we would make it this far? Like we have already have done like 20 episodes.
I don't know. I thought that, like, just generally, I felt like if we get the momentum, we might be able to. I'm just amazed that we still, despite of the hectic schedules we have, we
Mm-hmm.
made it until to the episode 20.
Yeah, let's we should keep the target at 50. Let's make it last a year, and
Yeah, of
then
course.
then see where does it go.
Where does it go? Yeah.
Right. So, very interesting week this has been. We have had multiple things happening. We're choosing to cover two of those. One is me being overly obsessive with technology news. I was very closely following what was happening on the um in the antitrust space,
Mhm.
the Department of Justice in FTC going like all after the big tech, two of the major players there. We'll cover that, and the second part will go to the story, the unfortunate incident coming out of Kashmir, what
Kashmir,
happened
yeah.
there, and uh, the
Insane meme war.
the meme war and the like the usual rhetoric following such incidents that we see from both sides of the country,
Yeah.
both sides of the water. Sorry. Right. So, yeah, I'll start with the big story. It's kind of a follow up happening to what happened in the August last year when
Yes.
one of the judges uh, declared Google search specifically to be a
Hmm.
monopoly. Um, so that was like first verdict handed against Google. Few people were expecting it at that time, but so now what we are seeing is like a barrage of these antitrust cases directed at Meta and Google at this
Mm.
point. But people are saying that they could further expand the scope to the other players.
Hmm.
Amazon is a likely
Yeah.
um, gonna be a victim of this if it continues to expand to the rest of the big tech. Apple not so much, and Microsoft relatively has been uh, flying under the radar and haven't gotten that much attention when it comes to these antitrust cases. So, do you want to add anything to it, or do you want me to
So,
just?
okay, I'm gonna ask you for few questions,
Hmm.
which is ताकि हम थोड़ा सा ना context इस issue के ऊपर build कर लें, because I feel like maybe it would be something new for the audience who are not following it up.
Yeah.
So, what exactly is antitrust laws, and what is the problem with monopoly? Because जिन मुल्कों से हम आ रहे हैं, or even the country that we live in, हमने देखा है कि शुरू से we have seen telecom companies creating like these uh, not exactly monopolies, but they like joined forces, and then they kind of, it's like three companies are going to take care of it. The one of the biggest example that come to my head is Pepsi Coca-Cola rivalry, which they never let any other soda drink to come out of a national market to make it into international market. um so what exactly is antitrust laws? What happened in last couple of years that the companies like the FTC has started looking into it, and why are we standing where we standing right now?
Right. So the history of antitrust and the first thing that transpired into the formation of FTC was when the US court issued an order against the Standard Oil. So that goes way back at the end of 19th century, around 1880 onwards. From 1880 to 2011 or 13, if I'm not mistaken. Around that time, Standard Oil, everyone would have heard the name John D. Rockefeller. They ran basically like every aspect of the oil business in the US.
Mm-hmm.
So they had like a clear monopoly there that lasted for like a good 30 years. They made like a ton of money. But eventually, one of the reporters, again, I forgot the name, did like a very detailed piece on them,
Mm-hmm.
exactly detailing how that business is run. And we'll see that um story repeating over and over, where people know what this business is, but they have little idea what they are doing exactly under the hood. And
Mm-hmm.
when it is brought up in the form of news or reports or documentaries or whatever, people all of a sudden look at it and like, oh wow, this is like a clear monopoly, and they are
Mm-hmm.
actually like putting all kind of hurdles in the way of competition. So that was the basically uh, like the first success story for the FTC kind of departments, where they Standard Oil from 1913 onwards was then forced to sell parts of their businesses, and it broken up. And if you'll hear the name that it broken up into, you would know that what kind of beast it was. So Chevron came out of
Yeah.
Standard Oil. Then there was Exxon, that became Exxon Mobil after partnership, and then there was British Petroleum, ConocoPhillips. All of these countries, there are like seven, eight of these big oil
Mm-hmm.
producers in different upstream and downstream businesses that came out of the Standard Oil. So that was like a good example. Why they did that, that was, or why monopoly is bad, is because so once you have, it's like cornering the market, right? Like once you have gotten hold of like every aspect of the business, you get to dictate your terms to a point that you become so strong that there is no competition. And when there is no competition, you jack the prices right up, and all of a sudden people are like feeling this financial brunt. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect is a lot of the people, and there are like some very strong counter arguments and cases as well, is that when you enable such monopolies, you basically create a hurdle for innovation. Like innovation
Mm-hmm.
stops right there, because if I have a monopoly on something and I don't need to do anything innovative, I
Yeah.
already have cornered that market and I am winning big. So those are the arguments the against the monopolies. Um, then we had like a bunch of other stories. AT&T got broken up in around 1980s. Again, it owned Bell Labs, and Bell Labs, the kind of innovations that happened through Bell Labs is kind of a counter argument to
Mm-hmm.
against this monopoly argument, that since AT&T had this monopoly and they controlled this business, they brought the prices absolutely down for the customer, and in the process it allowed them to venture into all of these very experimental businesses which otherwise they would not have risked. And hence the things that came out of the Bell Labs were something like solar panels, and like lasers,
There's
and then lasers translated into fiber optics. The C and C++ languages came out of Bell Labs. The Unix systems that later on became the basis of the Linux operating system
system.
came out of Bell Labs. So yeah, like very so if you look at Bell Labs, it has like pretty strong counter arguments as well to this theory that monopoly is always bad.
But isn't it an exception?
Um,
I mean, what like if I would carry on the same example, uh,
mhm,
uh, which is Coca-Cola and Pepsi example.
mhm.
हमने ये क्या ही देख लिया पिछले 100 सालों में, which is being different in the cold drink industry, right? There's nothing.
Yeah,
They
but
both.
that is. That is more of a duopoly. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe we can make an argument that it is sector dependent. I
Hmm.
mean, something that is like a cold drinks, soft drinks, like very different kind of a market, right? But
Yeah.
someone. Mhm.
Yeah. So my argument here is that I get like I understand that the Bell Labs have been a big one of the biggest exception, but and I understand them investing, and I think that argument Google can make as well because
Yeah.
they expand so much in their
Hmm.
research and development. I think हमने पीछे भी कुछ episodes में ये बात की है कि every single thing that Google has invested years ago, but everybody was making fun of them for investing, somehow is paying off right now
Yeah.
and will pay off in next decade. Uh, could be an exception as compared to the other things. Another thing that I want to point out is that in case of monopolies, when you have that kind of a power, you don't let small businesses enter into this. So you keep on eating them as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a whole problem with monopolies that as well that आपके पास a startup wouldn't become something like a Google was a startup that become such a big thing, but now they
Yeah.
are such a big monopoly that they wouldn't let somebody come in such markets and sustain to
Yeah.
be such a big giant.
Yeah. Yeah. So
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 yeah,
so so that yeah. So like I said, there are arguments on both
on
sides.
both
So
sides.
so adding to what you earlier said, that maybe Bell Labs was a one-off. I think Google is a very good example that explains that maybe it wasn't a one-off, because
Mm-hmm.
Google, when you have this amount of capital and you get this big, only then you have the wherewithal to think like 15 years or 20 years ahead, and that
Oh,
is when you
definitely.
start making investments like Waymo or Isomorphic Labs or ton of these investments that Google made, where they took up this massive project of laying these these cables through the oceans connecting the
Mm-hmm.
world, building effectively a big part of the internet, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you have to have such size to be able to execute such big things, like
Thanks.
these services like Google Maps. I mean, if you think about it, just the utility of the Google Maps
So map.
itself, a service that was put in our hands for free of cost, literally nothing.
Yeah.
There is a whole argument that okay, if you're not paying for something, then you are being sold, like it's your data is being used for whatever purposes. But all of that eventually, I don't think there an argument can be made against it that Google generated a ton of services that we all benefited from
Oh,
immensely.
definitely, definitely. I mean, so like as you said, not just Google Map, but also I feel like if a company does not have as much resources as Google does, or Meta does, or Amazon does, they are not. They are not. They wouldn't be as tolerant to failures, right? Because like if I do not have
Yeah.
enough capital, I wouldn't experiment. If I wouldn't experiment, I would. If I wouldn't fail 10 times
Yeah.
or 100 times, I wouldn't
Yeah.
innovate.
Yeah.
And that kind of a tolerance wouldn't be with venture capitalists who would be investing in a startup.
Absolutely. They may say that they're long-sighted. Venture capitalists are, they do not think beyond like 5, 6 years, 10 years
Yeah,
at
exactly.
max.
And 5 6 years is nothing,
Yeah, yeah,
especially with the things that Google has invested in the past couple of years. 5 6 years, you're not going to see anything at all.
absolutely. Yeah.
So
So,
okay, so now I hope we understand कि monopolies क्या है.
mhm.
Um, yeah, I want you to go ahead and talk a little bit about why it became such a big deal for uh, tech giants in last couple of years, especially Google and Meta and Amazon.
Right. So it all started. So I'll go. one by one. Let's
Yeah.
address Meta first. So Meta has been the case against Meta is like a lot over time. A lot of these internal conversations or communications inside Meta have been leaked, and they
Yeah.
have become like public information. So since then, a lot of things have surfaced that what the internal management was thinking when the acquisition of Instagram and WhatsApp and those things were happening, when offers were being made to Snapchat for
Yeah.
acquisition. So over time, and I think at this point they thought because the government did proceed against Meta before, like 6 7 years ago, but that
Yeah.
was that case was thrown out because the judge was like, you aren't coming up with enough information, like give us more like a smoking gun that we can act on. So
Hmm.
I think now what they have happened is they have kind of reframed their case. So initially they were making a case that Meta has a monopoly on social network,
Hmm.
and their Meta has like a, one can say that a clear defense, like how can we be monopoly in a world where Twitter exists, where Pinterest exists, where Snapchat exists,
Exist. Yeah.
which is a reasonable response. So I think this time around, what the government is trying to do is they are trying to rephrase, and they are focusing more on personalized social networks. So they are redefining their terms to
Hmm.
exclude all of these networks, where personalized social network is more like where you add friends and you get to communicate more with your family and friends, that kind of situation. So
Okay.
government feels that they can make a case, because when we make that case, the three biggest player that comes to mind are the Facebook, Instagram,
Instagram.
and WhatsApp, and they're all owned by the
Yes.
same company.
Same company. Yeah.
So that is what government is trying to do. People like most of the legal experts that I have listened to, they feel that this case is really weak. It's highly likely going to be thrown out.
I
Um,
I mean, I don't understand the argument either
the
because
mhm,
I get the like the Snapchat is very personalized social media.
yeah.
Uh, I mean, I know the number of users are less and they are not in top three. Uh, Twitter can be very personalized. You can have a private account. You choose to be public.
Yeah, so that's what government doesn't think, or they try to make people think in trying to make their case stronger.
Okay.
But so we will find out. Currently, we are seeing these like hearings are happening where Mark Zuckerberg and their old CEO has been summoned a couple of times. So it's like an ongoing case, but there is less focus on Meta and there is more focus on Google, which are just being bombarded at this point because they lost a case last year, which I just
Hmm.
explained, where the judge declared that you guys have a monopoly on search. It's not
Hmm.
good. And they basically asked the government. So government won that case, and they asked the government, now tell us how to fix that. So government has like a bunch of ideas. Uh, so first, trying to understand how in government's understanding, or how according to that verdict, Google is a monopoly, is because so Google essentially makes money through searches. The more searches
Yes.
they you do on Google, the more data they have on you, and the more precise digital advertising they can do through
You
their
can do.
platform. So much so that Google started making these exclusive deals with Apple, Amazon, Firefox, where all of their default searches will be directed at Google. So
Google.
everyone having an iPhone, whatever an iPhone user searches or Samsung user searches, or a Mozilla, if you put anything in the Mozilla Firefox search box, it
It
will be
goes to
directed
Google.
at Google. Uh, so much so that Google paid, I think, a couple of years ago, $20 billion a year to Apple just to make Google as the default search engine on their
Mm-hmm.
phones, which is $20 billion is a like huge sum. It is like 10-15% of Apple's revenue or something. Um, so that's like one example of it. If someone has that amount of money and they can make these exclusive deals, then those are all the doors that are being closed on the competition.
Yes.
Like, and Microsoft probably cannot go and do it for Edge, or forget Microsoft. Let's say DuckDuckGo is a search engine, right?
Mm-hmm.
They do not have enough firepower to close that kind of deals, and
Yep.
hence that is like a clear case of where competition is
Mm-hmm.
being is facing like all kinds of hurdles created by Google. So that was the search business of it. The remedies that government uh, is providing is like wild. They are like going all the way. It's more like spray and pray kind of thing, where they're doing like everything and hoping that something will stick.
Okay.
They're saying that they should like sell Chrome should be like an isolated entity, Chrome browser. The
Okay.
Another extreme is they should probably Android should be spun out of Google, should not be part of Google anymore. So there is that. And in some of the
Oh, so
cases they
I don't understand the argument of getting to sell their product for getting people to not use their service, because even if they sell the Chrome and or Android, it's the services problem. It's not a product problem.
um yeah, so it will make some effect, and
Okay.
I think the jury is out on will like how much will it hurt Google. We don't know. Maybe we'll
Okay.
find out when it happens. Because yeah, you're right that even if my search doesn't default to Google, I'm gonna probably go to Google and then search it, right? Yeah, that makes sense. But maybe maybe not everyone is like that. Maybe there are a lot of people, maybe less tech savvy, who would just like put the search and they will just pick the first link from even Bing if it showed up or whatever, right?
Okay. Now, okay, that's an interesting like assumption that we are making here, right? Because there are certain things that become uh, synonym to the product name, right?
Yeah,
Uh, and people don't say we are going to be searching this on internet. People say we're going to Google it.
yeah. Google is a verb.
Yeah, there's like we're going to Google it. It's a very like there are a lot of like we know there are a lot of products in the market. Um, and I don't know why my brain keep on giving example of Coca-Cola, but it's like, oh, we're gonna go have a Coke. They might have Pepsi, but they'll still go and
Yeah, yeah,
talk, say
yeah,
the
yeah.
Coke. It's the same thing with what's that tissue paper brand?
The rose petal.
Yeah, for us it's Rose Petal. Here is another one, but
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I forgot. Huh. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So these things become the synonym to it.
yeah, yeah.
So even like my father, who is 70 plus,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't think that he's gonna be checking his thing. Like if I show him a Bing page, he's not gonna look anything on it.
Highly likely. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a good assumption. Do you think that all these problems we keep having is because people in government do not understand tech as well, and then until the all hell broke loose, and then they come up with very duct tape solutions?
Um. So frankly, there are not. I mean, there are not many solutions for which you can make a case in a court is the kind of situation the government find themselves in.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they can propose these kind of solutions, but remember, if they do it, So why this case was brought up? They thought that anyone having 90% monopoly, 90% share of the search market is bad. So if
Yeah.
they get these actions implemented, and we find out that Google's search market is still like 78% or like 81%. So I think that would be the failure of the all the actions that the government would have taken. But like what options do they have? So that is why I think they're just putting up all of these options. Do this, do
Mhm.
that, and hoping that something will stick and something will yield the kind of result that they are looking for.
अच्छा, now I have another thing, question, which is थोड़ा सा I think side पे हो रहा है, but it's something because we have talked so much about AI, and now if you go on a Google search and you search for something, uh, I mean, it's happened to me quite some time that I don't have to click on any of the links on the
Yeah,
websites.
yeah,
It pulls up everything and it gives me all this information right away. If I'm trying to calculate something, it gives me a calculator. If I'm trying to translate something, it gives
yeah,
me. If I'm trying to check stock market, it gives me in my face. I don't have to even click on the links.
yeah,
And we are seeing that now if you have a chat GPT on one side,
yeah,
pretty similar experience. You
yeah.
are much richer. Do you think Google's biggest worry is not what government is trying to do, but what is happening with how fast the AI and LLMs are evolving for OpenAI?
So actually, in like with regards to this case, the AI has been kind of helpful to Google because there is
Mm-hmm.
now a strong case to be made, and just in the context of this case, other than that, they would hate that OpenAI has like 600 million users.
Yes.
They absolutely hate that. I know that, but for this case, and their lawyers are absolutely using this argument that
I mean, they should.
look, there is a search platform that exists that has 600 million users. What else
Yeah.
do you want? So yeah, I mean, I think, and a lot of the people think that this argument might just save Google. What they're effectively saying that maybe Google would have like easily lost that case a couple of years ago
Yeah.
when
I agree.
something like chat gpt did not exist. But right now at this point Google is struggling to kind of actually snatch their users,
Hmm.
forget about maintaining their own users.
I mean,
So
it
yeah,
makes sense,
in
right?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think this case, this search um business is less of a monopoly than it was 3 years ago, probably. So maybe Google might get away with this one. But the other case that is going on in the court is related to their ad business, online advertising. And that
Hmm.
is in the initial step,
Yeah.
just like what happened last August, where the judge had declared that you have monopoly over the search business. Right now, this week, what has happened is a judge has given this verdict that you guys have monopoly on online advertising.
Hmm.
And now they have again asked the government, now give us remedies for this business. So
Hmm.
um now again we're gonna have like 3 to 4 months probably of government working on this case, and then providing some remediation on how this could be fixed. And eventually, like whatever result comes out of it, it's gonna get challenged in the Supreme Court and
Oh.
in all the different platforms. But I think that the the volume of these cases are definitely hurting Google. Whatever impact it has on Google, it will not be zero. It will
Mhm.
definitely be
Yeah, definitely.
more than zero, and I think it's going to be significant.
So, okay, I have another question. Is completely it, because we talking about ads and now it's just started hitting my head is how do you think in next, I don't know if it's going to be few months, but I feel like it's in a couple of months we might see ads on these l- like LLM models like ChatGPT and all of these.
Yeah,
How do you think,
that's
how do
like
you,
the trillion-dollar question that the whole market is struggling with. That
and yeah, so how do you think they might be integrating? Any ideas?
I don't know. So that's why a lot of the people think that Google's business is in jeopardy. They have had this basically cash cow. Like if someone, if there was a business that someone could dream of, that was the Google kind of a business where you
Yeah.
just where you run just some compute, and based on that you have such high margin profits, that is that anyone would love to have any day. So um one thing that everyone knows for sure at this point is that maybe 5 years and 10 years from now, this model where I ask a question and I am shown 10 blue links,
Hmm.
it's not gonna work anymore.
Yeah.
So the next question is, how do you monetize the responses then? In that case, so far OpenAI has been, so they are the leader. So we use them as the benchmark. The 600 million users, rapid growth. So far they have been making money through a part of these exclusive deals that they are making. For example, they are integrated into the iPhones at this point, but uh, how they're making money is through subscriptions. So
Yes.
people will pay for subscription and we run the service. But again, you like how
But
many
at some point they
subscribers you
would,
can
yeah,
have.
exactly. At some point they want to make money out of the free ones, right?
Yeah. So at some point your growth is gonna plateau, and then you will have to find other avenues of revenue. And I think like at this point, like people are just guessing, and it is like the biggest question in investors' mind, that how does money gets made in this.
So now my, okay. Mm, so it's not even wild enough what I'm thinking is I think it's very similar to what Facebook, Google, and everybody else did. And in case of OpenAI, they have way too much information on us.
Mm-hmm.
They can just start recommending you product when you're talking to them about skincare, when you're
Yep.
talking about something like it could be, and maybe right now it's more about suitability.
Mm-hmm.
Later, it could be more about who's paying them more.
Mm-hmm.
It can also go into directions of like even with the doctors, they could be like funded by the pharmaceutical agencies and all of these who would,
Mm-hmm.
and that be like, oh, same formula, just different brand, different company.
Mm-hmm.
That's like in my head, I think that's the easiest way to integrate
Mm-hmm.
uh, advertising.
Yeah.
I think right now, even the news and the articles is still like, even just sending the traffic to them, they can just charge those news agencies money for that. That how many
Yeah.
people are hitting you from our like because of us.
Yeah, that could be, but again, like the other side of that is also critical, and that is again yet to be answered is, do these businesses have to compensate the people whose data that they trained on, whose data that they trained these models on, and then they're making money out of it? I think that is yet to be settled. There are like a bunch of like high profile cases. New York Times has sued OpenAI. That case is yet to be settled. So we don't know what the verdict on that is gonna be. They all of these video and images models, they would have consumed a ton of data from
Mhm.
all kinds of sources, maybe YouTube videos for sure.
I
uh
mean, Ghibli Studio might take them to court.
yeah, yeah. So like all of those examples, so those are yet to be to be settled. So all in all, I think these businesses, however effective they may be, they are yet to they are yet to crack a bunch of codes to become something like a Google, you can say, of their time.
Makes sense. Uh, Thank you, Tosi, for this conversation. Do you want to add something or you want to jump to the next topic?
No, I think we covered pretty much everything. I will move on to the story coming out of Kashmir. What happened there on Tuesday afternoon? Given these are summers, Phalgam happens to be a tourist spot. There were a lot of tourists visiting, and the story is some gunmen came out of the woods and they started firing at the people. There have been like a couple of dozen casualties, two of them foreigners. A lot of the people, there are reports that people were targeted based on their faith. Um, we'll find more about that as more and more information comes out. But so that unfortunate incident happened. The other important detail was at that point, the Prime Minister of India was visiting the kingdom, and he cut short his trip and returned back. Another important thing was the U.S. President J.D. Vance was in India at this time.
Mhm.
Um,
It's causing a lot of problems.
yeah, and since the event, of course, like there has been a war of words going on social media as well as the traditional media, like the media on like we have seen between both of these countries in the past as well. Whenever such things happen, before like official responses, these media people are so quick at pointing fingers and basically kind of escalating the situation further. I think that is what has been happening for the last couple of days. India has taken some immediate steps where they have kind of suspended the Indus
And
Water
just what
Treaty,
treaty?
and they have sent like all the Pakistanis back home. A lot of the people will get hurt because there's a good number of people that visit India for treatment, and those medical
Yeah.
services, they are being sent back as well. They've closed the airspace for Pakistan, and in retaliation, Pakistan has done the same. They have issued some threats of their own that if the Indus Treaty is violated, we are gonna like if
Suspend the Simla. Yeah.
yeah, Shimla agreement. Yeah, so that is what has been happening for the last 3 days. What do you think? What is your read of the situation?
Okay, so I just want to go a little bit in the back of this story because uh, I think as growing up in Pakistan, the one thing that because we all grew up watching PTV और PTV
Hmm.
में हर रोज 2 घंटे 3 घंटे की ट्रांसमिशन continuously afternoon में होती थी, which has something to do with Kashmir. We have seen a lot of like military based content coming out, like made dramas and everything. Um, what I think we all have studied Kashmir growing up because it's such a disputed areas, but a very whitewashed version of where just somehow um, like India is at fault. And I don't want to put blames on both side of the story. I just want to give a little bit of a background here क्योंकि कुछ ऐसे पहले like I think back in 2012 2009-10 I was on winter here like summer vacation back home from university, and I started reading Jinnah of Pakistan,
Hmm.
and like Stanley Whooper is like the author, and he's like he's authority on Pakistan. And then when I started reading it, it just hit me. Oh, this guy was a human politician,
Mhm.
which is honestly was a really good breath of fresh air, because when you read the book, you feel so much emotions. You feel good about knowing somebody who actually was a human and not like a this angel who was dropped from heaven to just free us all, and it felt better.
Yeah.
uh, I think that's also the thing with the Kashmir issue. हम थोड़ा सा उसको जिस तरह से देखते हैं, जिस एंगल से देखते हैं, आई थिंक हमें थोड़ा सा अब जो है ना वो लाइट को उठा के अब एटलीस्ट नाउ I'm still seeing those same narrative that we have seen all our lives coming up again कि
Hmm.
जी जिया गया और उसने राजीव गांधी को कान में ये बोल दिया और इसने ये किया और उसने वो कर
Yeah.
किया. I think we should need to sit down a little bit and understand कि what happened with the Kashmir story is, yes, it's the very similar story we have with Balochistan. आपके पास annexation वो करना नहीं चाहते थे, वो जो है उन यहाँ से because Muslim population ज़्यादा थी, so militants wants to get the Kashmir here because population was on the side कि they would want to be with Pakistan. While
Hmm.
they declared their independence, they didn't want to be either part of Pakistan or India.
Yeah.
But then what India did to them is they're like, their ruler was told that if you sign this Article 370, which was an agreement at that point, and we will give you an autonomy of, except I think defense, foreign affairs, and communication, you will have all the power, and we will give you military support right now. And that's when the first war between Pakistan and India happened in 47, 48, where India capped that portion and we got the portion that we have right now. अब वो ये सारी की सारी सिचुएशन होती है, people are there, uh, overwhelmingly people are against it because हमारे religion के base पे partition हुई है. अब उस रिलीजन बेस्ड पार्टीशन, हम उसे रिलीजन बेस्ड पार्टीशन कहते हैं, वो कहते हैं ये रिलीजन बेस्ड पार्टीशन नहीं है बिकॉज दे स्टैंड एज अ सेक्युलर कंट्री. सो इफ दे लेट गो ऑफ कश्मीर, दे लेट गो ऑफ द सेक्युलर आइडिया.
Hmm.
So for them it's like a sort of a problem which they cannot start because then everybody else has started getting separate because खालिस्तान की movement already चल रही है.
Hmm.
फिर there's this whole sentiment कि आपके पास जब भी जंग हुई है कश्मीर के एरिया को लेके, अब नाउ ऑल आवर लाइफ वी हर्ड दैट कि जी जंगे जो हैं वो हम लाइक 65 की हमने सारी वॉर्स जीती हैं.
Yeah.
uh,
हमारी
then
किताबों में हमने जीती है, उनकी किताबों में उन्होंने
उनकी
जीती
किताबों में उन्होंने जीती हैं. We don't talk about how much of problems we created. LOC establish होती है आपके पास जी आई थिंक 47 48 के टाइम पे जब यूएन इंटरवीन करता है. फिर 65 में शिमला कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एस्टैब्लिश होता है 71 में नहीं 65 में
72 was Shimla, I think,
या
after the war.
65 में ताजिकिस्तान वो था ताशकंद था.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 72 में शिमला एग्रीमेंट है. All of these agreements, majorly हमारा conflict कश्मीर है. Now we are not doing it out of love for people who are living, they are Muslims. We are doing it because हमारा भी lifeline है उधर. Our rivers,
Yeah.
they have the headworks for our rivers.
Yeah, yeah.
And if India has a control of that, which what they are trying to do right now is we die. Our
Yeah.
rivers could dry up, we wouldn't have anything.
Yeah.
So that's one major thing that we need to understand. It's one of the reasons. The second is aapke paas ab all, because I think we all grew up in 90s, so we never know the time of military insurgency started in back in 80s. It didn't start before it.
Yeah.
And then I'd never heard about it until I actually went through a documentary couple of like I think 5-6 years ago, where I found out that about 100,000 to 180,000 Kashmiri Pandit were expelled from Kashmir Valley.
Wow.
In 90s, they were killed, their people were raped, and it's not the common people. Yes, it is the militant organizations which were doing that. They were expelled, they were killed. most of them have left. There's not a lot of Kashmiri Pandit live there anymore. If
Mm-hmm.
you speak to a Kashmiri Pandit, they will tell you the kind of stories they have gone through while they were leaving there.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't talk about that. We don't talk, uh, and that's my problem with missing the context of the stories. That was the same thing we saw happening in Palestine and Israel situation. We are also seeing the same thing in Kashmir situation as well. बहुत बड़े massacre होता है. Back in 47, 48, just make up hundreds and thousands of people, Muslims were killed.
Mm-hmm.
Then जो है कश्मीरी पंडित्स का होता है. Then there is another one of Kashmiri pandits happened later in times. So अब हो ये रहा है इसमें mostly civilians are being killed. And the one thing that I genuinely believe that both sides need to understand is nobody is innocent on the both side of the government.
Yeah.
These are two nuclear states who could not go to war because they both have nukes.
Right.
And they're both doing proxy wars in each other's countries.
Yeah, that has been a story of decades now.
And it surprises me how hard it is for the people to believe that it's happening. Now, yes, people should talk to their government and hold them accountable.
Mm-hmm.
And Pakistan is an easy target for them. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what government did. They sit down and the first thing they did is हम treaty suspend कर रहे हैं, visa suspend कर रहे हैं, हम consulate से military advisors को वापस भेज रहे हैं, आप यहाँ रह नहीं सकते, कोई नहीं आ रहा, अगर आप यहाँ हैं तो 48 hours में leave.
ये तो नी जैक रिएक्शन है ना अपनी आवाम
हाँ,
के लिए, दोनों साइडों से
exactly.
होगा.
So आपने वो reactions तो दे दिए, but nobody is talking about that you lifted Article 370. You put it's a highest, like it's more militarized zone than its Gaza is right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's the highest militarized zone in the world.
Mm-hmm.
People are being killed on daily basis. You shut down internet, you are not giving them any human rights, you took their autonomy. The first thing that people started talking about when Article 350 was lifted is that, oh, now we're going to get to marry the Kashmiri women.
Yeah.
Really, was that's how the brain of the whole country is working.
Yeah, yeah.
How could you expect not to have reactions? And I'm not saying that it's justified or not justified. I'm very tired of condemnation and not condemning it and going after each other and everything, but not realizing there's always a backstory to it.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever happened is horrible. But if it's a occupied land where people are being killed and you sending people there for tourism, there's gonna be a reaction. Is it justified? No. But there will be a reaction. Are these people so unaware or so okay with it? Because I think it still surprises me that a country that has a history of being colonized for 100 years and being oppressed, doing the same with different parts of their countries, both of us, India and Pakistan, both of us, and being so okay with it. Like the language that we use
Mm-hmm.
is so amusing to me, because the language right now Indians are using for the Kashmiris and the Muslim minority there
Yeah,
is the
yeah.
same language that the Pakistanis use for their minorities.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, we have the audacity to say these things like हमने तो कभी आज तक ऐसी बातें नहीं की, अभी परसों आपने अहमदियों की मस्जिदों पे हमले किए हैं.
Yeah.
So to me, I think it's less of what I'm reading on the situation, and I know I went into a spiral because I think I've spent so much time on Twitter, it kind of gave me like a headache after it, is how much the both side of the border lack self-reflection.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see that there is so much lack of self-reflection, you realize there's hypocrisy and there's lies, because none of them are looking for solving a situation. It's the same people, the same common man will keep on dying. It's the same common man who has to suffer. And we keep on repeating the narratives that we know are false. but we are so fed with it that we are gonna, the minute it happens, somehow everybody's patriotism is back, and we are like, now this is so much fun. Now we're gonna tell them that we have F-16 and we're gonna come to you, and how was the deal?
Yeah,
So you
I
see,
think every time it happens, like the worst जो हम हमारे अंदर worst है ना वो बाहर आता है, तो
yeah,
we get like a good reflection के there was a clip circulating. I know it's an old clip जहाँ पे I think कोई कश्मीर का incident हुआ था, और वहाँ पे there was this, वो कोई सहाफी भी नहीं था, कोई like जनरल बंदा ही था, माइक लेके फिर रहा था, और वो उससे पूछता है कि कश्मीरी से पूछता है, आप बताएं फिर आपकी फैमिली में और आप आपकी फैमिली में कोई दहशतगर्द है, लाइक दैट काइंड ऑफ क्वेश्चन आप
yeah.
किसी से पूछ रहे हैं, तो आई मीन it's sad on multiple levels, uh, but at this point, so the situation kind of has been escalating. Pakistan has given some response. अभी इस वक्त kind of हम parity पे खड़े हैं, like India has done so and so actions, Pakistan has retaliated. The only threat is, what if we keep climbing up the escalation ladder? So where does it lead? So what do you think is like the likelihood of?
I mean, they cannot like permanently suspend the Indus treaty because उसका guarantor जो है वो World Bank है.
Yeah, yeah,
In
it's temporary.
yeah, so in the case of Shimla one, we can suspend this and start violating LOC because उसका कोई guarantor नहीं है, वो
Bilateral है
bilateral
वो, yeah, yeah.
agreement है.
Mm-hmm.
तो वो जो है, do I see things get like tension? I mean, I it's also people who are ruling us also is a problem because आपके defense minister Sky News पे बैठ के बोल रहे थे कि we have been doing the dirt, like they asked him, aren't you guys funding the proxies and the terrorist organizations, and he said we have been doing the dirty work for America for past 3 decades. uh, uh,
America. Okay.
in and
How
it's
is that relevant?
he said that yeah, we do fund these in like we do fund terrorist groups, but we do it for America.
Oh, lovely. So okay, okay. So right. So
So
he didn't even try to sidestep the question correctly.
no, he didn't. He didn't. He actually said that, you know what, like we have
Who
been
is he?
doing
He's
this.
he's our defense minister.
ख्वाजा से क्या?
Oh my god. Why did we send him?
Uh,
Bad
I have
idea.
no idea. I mean, who else? Who do you want to talk? Like, who in the
I
cabinet
don't
do you
know.
want to
Probably
speak?
like Bilawal or someone.
Yeah,
Not him.
I agree. I agree. I agree. I think because it somebody needed to like have that conversation. मतलब like आप कुछ भी कह सकते थे उस time पे. Nobody was putting a like he's not even in the studio. You are on the video call. Just leave the video call. Just say the connection was bad. The world already thinks we live in like decades
Well,
back. So just take,
if I were PM, I would like lock up the defense minister right away. Like put him in prison for like 10 days or so. He's nothing to do. We don't need him because
yeah.
he can only do bad things in this kind of situation.
I mean, so that's my worry because I feel like, but then at the same time, do they have a control enough to let like because at the end of the day, the decision will be made on the military level. We haven't seen the direct communication between Modi and PM Shahbaz Sharif, and we know that Iran has offered for uh, like helping them
Them
talk very
them again.
quickly. Yes, so we don't know. I mean, do I think कि ये situation war तक जा सकती है? Not really. I don't think so. I mean, there would be a bit of tension on LOCs and there would be cross firings. That's what I think. Both sides might start violating ceasefire. Um,
That's what I think.
yeah, but I don't think it's gonna go further than that. I genuinely feel that the last time Imran Khan government have dealt it far better,
Yeah, yeah.
and I think we need something like that. as well right
But
now.
I think वहाँ पे like call it luck
Leverage
or
भी
what,
था.
yeah, we have the leverage and kind of आप उसको कह सकते हैं कि the prime minister mind was in the right place कि we had the option to de-escalate and we did it there and then.
Yeah,
अब यहाँ पे सिचुएशन ये है कि इंडिया में जो सेंटीमेंट है, लेट्स हाउ लाइकली आर दे टू act like show similar kind of act. Given the sentiment, I don't think so much. So that means that Pakistan has to have at some point some kind of a leverage where we can push it further and we decide not to.
yeah. No, I think I agree. At this point, their government needed to needed to react, not that proactively.
Mm-hmm.
They shouldn't have been this reactive. They needed, but I think as soon as जो आपके पास militant group है, they said that they take a responsibility of it. They just connected it with Lashkar Taiba, and they're like, okay, then Pakistan is behind it, and they just went really, really fast on reaction. I understand there might be some of it, but we also know this government has their own militant wing, which is RSS, which has been known for notoriously for violence in Kashmir. We
Mm-hmm.
know since the Modi has been in power, he has not been in any way good to people of Kashmir.
Mm-hmm.
So, uh, of course, their reactions. So it was massively aggravating, and I don't know. I don't know. Like I'm not. I don't think our side has like it's the same thing, right? Everybody was mad at like CM that why didn't he like the prime minister that why didn't he come back from Turkey? And he's like, what should he do by coming back from Turkey? I mean, like it's nothing was happening in his country. There's something happened in another country.
Yeah,
Uh,
he loves to go to Turkey for some reason.
Maybe just like the weather. I mean, if I had that kind of resources, I might go that often to Turkey as well. The weather is amazing. The place is beautiful. Maybe he likes the food.
Yeah, but I was like maybe not the right time given the incident that happened, but Pakistanis have no appetite for war, is what I have seen. They
Oh
are
yeah,
they don't care if it is war or whatever. I think at this point the kind of content that I have seen yesterday on Twitter, Pakistanis have seen the worst already. They're not
yeah.
afraid of anything.
Yeah. I think there's the things are so bad financially, economically, national security wise that
Yeah,
people are like, I mean, what worse can happen than this?
yeah,
And
yeah.
when you are at that place, um, I mean, like yeah, I saw like 4 or 5 people being like, "Oh, we are standing behind it" and all of it. Other people are like, "Yeah, we really don't care." They like I the language that I've seen in last couple of days is more of somebody who's like, "Sure, ले जाना ले जाओ इतना बुरे हालात हैं इतने बुरे हालात हैं कुछ दिनों में खुद वापस कर जाओगे."
Yeah, I saw a clip where there was this person like describing all the horrors of war, what happens, and he was like कि पानी नहीं होता, बिजली नहीं होती, gas नहीं होती. And then there was this Pakistani just looking at this video and he was like वो तो नहीं है पहले.
Yeah,
What's next? So yeah, uh, I hope sanity prevails and like we get off of this escalation ladder sooner. um I hope we find out the truth, like whoever has done it. I hope the government of India goes the distance and come up with the actual evidence instead
I
of
hope so.
this finger pointing. And in the meantime, I hope that our side of the media also recognize the the seriousness of the situation. And बाकी मजाक जो है वो छोड़ दो यार, ट्विटर वाले अच्छा कर रहे हैं. Uh,
Yeah, I hope just that कि हमारे defense minister take some time off.
yeah, he should be put in jail, is what I would recommend. Him outside is dangerous for us,
Yeah,
and keep him away from microphone, media. Keep him away from that. Okay, I would call it a wrap. Uh, it was nice, interesting conversation today. Uh, have a very good weekend, and we will meet next week.
we'll meet next week.
Thanks everyone. Bye.
Thank you.